Let me ask you if either of these situations sounds familiar. Scenario A, you're feeling stuck in life. You don't have a ton of obligations, but you know that you'd be doing more with your life than you are now. You feel directionless, but yet you struggle to take action on anything. You seem to let the hours pass by without taking the action that you know that you need to take to get you to the goals that you have for yourself, or to create the life that you dream of. Or when you gather the will to finally get started and start taking some action, you feel overwhelmed and you don't know what your next move should be. I've been there. Scenario B, you have an abundance of things to do. Sometimes an overwhelming number of things to do, in fact. Your mental or physical to-do list only seems to get longer and longer, but you have no idea where to start. You feel that you're checking boxes, taking action and doing things, but you feel like you're not accomplishing the things that you actually need to get done. While the list of things to do keeps getting longer and longer, sometimes you procrastinate because you don't know what to do next or in what order. You end a lot of days feeling that you underperformed. You didn't accomplish what you needed to accomplish, and you feel stressed about the next day. I've been there too. Both of these scenarios have more in common than you could possibly think, but there's a simple and effective way out of both of them, and in both situations, what I'm going to talk about in this video completely saved me and helped me start making progress. The person in scenario A and scenario B are both stressed out for essentially the same reasons. They lack momentum towards the things that they know are most important in their lives, and they lack progress on the things that they know are actually going to bring them closer to their goals. They both end up wasting a lot of time because the mental barriers blocking them from making progress are essentially one and the same. It's only compounded by the fact that when they do start taking action and when they do start doing the things, they find that they're not actually working on the most important things. This is the definition of busy work. This leads to the feeling of spinning your wheels and not making any measurable forward progress at all. As I mentioned before, there's a simple solution to all of this, and the best part is I learned all of this from some of the most productive people in the world. It's worked for thousands of others, if not millions, and it worked for me. It can work for you too. Every single day I have a lot of different things going on. Just thinking about which of the different businesses or things that I have going on in my life I should be working on can lead to analysis paralysis all on its own. The reality is, if I didn't have a plan for getting things done, I wouldn't get anything done. I'd probably just sit here thinking about what I should be doing instead of doing anything at all. In college and in my early career, I could barely accomplish anything at all. I was completely ineffective as a student in college, and I barely graduated Arizona State. It really comes down to a lack of focus and a lack of time management, all of which I'm going to help you understand in this video. So let's go ahead and jump into the tips. And I truly believe that if you take action and you start using some of these tips, they'll completely change your life, your productivity, and you'll go to sleep every night feeling that you accomplished everything that you needed accomplished to move you towards your goals. So tip number one is that you absolutely need to make a list. There's two different ways that you can go about this. I prefer to use to-do apps. Some people love to use analog written lists. There's all kinds of amazing list making tools that you can purchase in both an app form as well as a written form. Just Google it and I'm sure you'll find something awesome that will work for you. A couple of my personal favorites are Apple Reminders, Microsoft To Do, Todoist, Google Tasks, and for my businesses, I have a larger productivity suite through monday.com. But if you're just trying to get your life in check, you don't need to jump into anything crazy like that. The free app that came with your mobile device is probably sufficient to get started. Now, when we look at our list of things to do, we want to make sure that we're capturing everything in here. We want to be starting to live our life from our to-do list and organize all of the things that we need to do within our to-do app. So our life, our work, our groceries, you name it, let's go ahead and let's make a list about it. You can even make a list of your goals, things that you want to work on, things that you don't want to forget, right? Like our brains are just not set up to remember things that are finer details. They're meant to think strategy. They're meant to formulate new ideas. They're meant to be creative. We're just fundamentally not set up as human beings to remember every single thing that comes our way. Not only that, we're going to waste an immense amount of mental capacity trying to remember the things that we need to do if we're not working from a to-do app. How many times have you walked into a grocery store with a list of 3 to 5 things that you need to remember to get, and you walk out with at least one of those things missing? Or you're in the store and you just stand there aimlessly trying to remember what it was that you were supposed to pick up. This can happen on a macro scale with our life and our day-to-day. And I 100% can attest that this is exactly how I used to live my life. I used to try to remember the things that I was supposed to do, used to try to remember what so-and-so said that I was supposed to do for work, and so on and so forth. And I'd waste an immense amount of mental capacity and an immense amount of time trying to remember the things that I was supposed to do. This is the equivalent of mentally standing in the grocery store of your mind, trying to think of what it is that you're supposed to do. It's completely ineffective, it's completely inefficient, and it wastes not only energy, but an immense amount of time. Every single thing that I need to remember to do, whether it's the groceries that I need to pick up from the store, whether it's the things that I need to do for my businesses, whether it's a list of things that I'm supposed to grab or things that I'm supposed to return, whatever it is, it's in my to-do list app. And the best part is when I do it, I get to enjoy that sweet, sweet dopamine of hitting that checkbox and getting things done, which just brings more momentum to my day. Number two is we need to prioritize the level of importance of the things that we're adding into our to-do app. The reason why people in scenario A and scenario B B really struggle is because at the end of the day, they both feel basically the exact same definition of defeat. They don't know what the most important things that they need to be doing are to move them close to their goals, so they either work on the wrong things, nothing at all, or they work on things that are least important and are never going to get the things done that are actually going to make the measurable impact in their lives. This leads to them hitting the pillow at the end of the night with stress, thinking about the things that they should have done during the day because they didn't prioritize correctly and they worked on the wrong things. What I recommend you do is that you prioritize your to-do list by level of importance. Pull up the app with the list or the piece of paper that you just wrote your to-do list on and look at it with a critical eye. Ask yourself a couple important questions. The thing that I really like to do the night before I start my workday is I like to look at my to-do list app and I like to think to myself, if I get nothing else done tomorrow, what are the things that if I get done, I will feel like the day was a win and I accomplished what I needed to accomplish. I put those at the top of my list to do so that I can start working on those first thing the next day. The second question you can ask yourself are, what are the things that have just been sitting on my to-do list forever that I've been putting off that are eating up mind share because I keep breaking the promise to myself of actually getting it done? Do you really need to do them first of all? If not, get them off the list. They shouldn't be eating up mind share. They're not important tasks. Let's not worry about them. If they are important, and you've just been putting them off forever, then let's go ahead and move those to the top of the list. They might not be the most important things, but they sure are going to make us feel good if we get them done today. The biggest change for me as an entrepreneur and just as a productive member of society really changed when I started prioritizing my day. I started getting busier and busier as my businesses grew, and I started realizing that some of the most important stuff wasn't getting done, and it was leading to a feeling of defeat and just not feeling like I was accomplishing my mission of running a good business that was making me good money. So now this is something that I do every single night. I prioritize my to-do list for the next day, and when I accomplish these things, I feel like I'm being productive, I'm accomplishing my mission, and it just adds wind to my sails of productivity for the next day, the week, the month, the year, and my business continues growing and I continue loving what I do. So tip number 3 is let's pick something easy to get started with. So I know that I just had you prioritize the most important things on your to-do list. Now, the most important things oftentimes are some of the most complicated things. And I completely agree with my logic of point 2 that these are the things that are most important that we get done. So we should start with those to an extent. There's an immense amount of science behind limited brain capacity, limited decision-making capacity, and the importance of doing the hardest things in the morning when we have the most brain power, we're the most creative, we have the most willpower to get things done. With that being said, if you're anything like me, when you first get to your desk in the morning, you don't always feel like just getting to work and crushing it. Sometimes you need to ease into it a little bit, right? It can be difficult to just jump right into the hardest things that you're going to do all day. So for this reason, I recommend starting with something that is fairly simple or easy to do. Something that you can complete in a short amount of time that is super work oriented if that's what you're going to start working on first thing in the morning, and it's going to get the wheels in motion for being productive. Think of this as the ignition in your car, right? You put the key in the ignition, you turn it, the motor starts. Once our imaginary motor of productivity is running, we can go ahead and jump into anything else that we need to get done. Tip number 4 is practice the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule is an incredible concept, and it really helps me build and carry momentum through my days. Especially when it comes to small tasks that otherwise would sort of tend to pile up in the queue, it can really slow my progress and just distract me from the more important things that I should be doing. The 2-minute rule was first established by David Allen in his book, Getting Things Done, which I highly would recommend reading, and it really aims to banish procrastination altogether. The rule simply states, if you can do an action in 2 minutes or less, tackle it in that moment and don't delay. So this really just helps us stop procrastinating on things. If it's a simple task like sending an email or replying to an email, something that comes through, we obviously don't want to be jumping around and getting distracted all day, every day and losing focus on what's most important. But if something comes our way and we can get it done then and there, let's go ahead and get it done. Let's continue carrying that productivity mindset and follow the 2-minute rule to get things done in our day that would otherwise just bog us down and add a bunch of mental weight into our queue of to-dos. I use this all day, every day for things that really should never make it to my to-do list because they're just too quick and easy to get done. And they oftentimes would take me more time to add to my to-do list than it would be just to do them in that moment. Tip number 5 is probably the most important out of all of this, and it's really set up your environment to remain in flow and eliminate distractions. So if you've been on my channel before, you know the importance of environment. Here I am, I'm sitting in my office. You can't really see my desk, but it's free of clutter. There's nothing on it. All that I'm focused on right now is filming this YouTube video. I don't have my Xbox controller sat here. I don't have my Netflix remote sat here. I don't have a YouTube video playing over here. I'm completely focused on filming this video and trying to make it as impactful as I possibly can for you. Environment is so key, and if your environment is filled with distractions, then it's going to be more and more difficult to ignore those distractions and actually get things done. So look around you. If you're procrastinating, if you're struggling, if you have a nosy coworker who won't stop talking to you, move somewhere else and move to somewhere which you can and actually get things done. I also like to set up my environment ahead of time. So when I get in here in the morning to run my business, I like to get the lights set up behind me. I like to have the light in the room lit up so that it's already set up. I don't have to go and like turn the light on after I start getting my tasks started. I also like to get a little music going in here so I have a nice vibration in the room where I feel productive, I feel motivated. I really love listening to Drake for this, as well as a couple flow playlists on Spotify. So I'd highly recommend just figure out what helps you get in flow and get that set up before you ever sit down. Otherwise, going and turning those things on or finding that playlist and clicking play might be a distraction from you actually remaining in flow state and getting things done. Additionally, if you have distractions all over your room, please just get rid of them. Go put the Xbox in the trunk of the car during the workday. If you can't stop scrolling Instagram, get a $20 safe, put it in your closet and lock your phone in the closet so you can get things done during the day rather than just scrolling social media. These things are so key and they are really the difference maker when it comes to actually taking action on the first 4 points that I talked about in this video. Let me know if you have questions about environment. I'd love to do a video on that if I get enough comments down below. So definitely know if that's a topic that would be interesting to you. Another great video to watch after this one would be this video right here that talks about how I remain productive for 97% of every day. I really hope that this was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments down below if you take action on any of these tips. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.